Hello all, this is Shankar Majumdar, Mind Coach, expert panel of Archery Association of India and Sports Authority of India. In conversation with coaches, archers and sportsmen, normally the coaches said like that. This comment from the coaches is really very often we can hear. The game is 90% mental and 10% physical. This is fact. This is very true, especially archery, golf, all those sports are really 90% mental and 10% physical. But this is to say we say, but there is more wisdom, there is more inner meaning of these words than it is very often realized. When we asked a coach, what are you teaching or coaching about the mental or inner side of the game? That is, what are you doing to use this 90% mental side? This is more important, but normally we work with 10% physical training only. 9% we do never touch or very little we use. The answer is typically it is like that, I tell them have a positive attitude, concentrate, focus, stay in the moment, try to be in the zone, be competitive, try to self-talk, try to visualize, put your 100%, etc. My next question was to the coach how to have a positive attitude, concentration, how to concentrate, how to focus, how to stay in the moment, how to be competitive, how to be hassle free. The answer is typically well, not really. They actually don't much do about mental training during the coaching of any sports. It is to be changed. Over the past few years in sports, they recognizes the importance of scientific selection techniques and processes. This is a vast area we are missing. Mind and brain training, its value has entered the sports performance world. This mind and brain training also it is refined to the extent of brain wave entrainment. There is a specific sound systems which can change the EEG of the brain, the movements of the cells or neurons of the brain. It travels between right brain and left brain. Normally, what we all do, we use the left brain only, that is our conscious mind, and the left brain, which is creative brain, that is subconscious mind, we hardly know how to use our right brain. Now the sports management people in different countries, they have researched and they have started using this mental side of the game. They are trying to achieve some percentage out of 90% mental, how to use these mental sides. And the best example I have gone through in my research that before Rio Olympics, the Korean archers, they started brain wave entrainment training. This is what is required in our country to be introduced sound therapy, brain entrainment, sound, and many other things. Though the mind and brain are two terms that are understood to mean the same when we use in colloquial senses, colloquial languages, mind and brain are seems to be same to us. There is a difference between mind and brain. Brain is made of physical matter, while mind is not made of physical matter. Brain is made up of cells, blood vessels, nerves to name a few. Mind is nothing but thought energy. What resides in the brain? The thought energy resides in the brain. Energy of thoughts activates the electrical energy that neurons of the brain. And it is said and it is proved that if you can concentrate your thought to something, it will be the cells of neurons of the brain will be activated for that part of your thought. Then normally the lingering old world views about mental training, about inner mind training is not really that important nowadays. They have all countries they have advanced the mental training to the highest level at present using neurons of the brain, adjustment of neurons of the brain, and trying to use 90% of the capacity of our right brain or subconscious mind. However, we are seeing elite sports coaches incorporating mind and thoughts conditioning trainer in their overall coaching program. This inner mind conditioning must be done every day and seen by the athletes as important enough to do every day. If you say to the players or athletes that you have to do mind training every day as you are doing physical training, practicing your games, your bodybuilding, gym, it is important. Definitely, it is important. But it is also important the training of your brain, training of your mind. Everything comes from the mind. If your mind is in good health, your body will be in good health. Mind, brain, and body, they are all related. The importance should be given by the coaches and the management that the coaches will not allow his or her athletes to miss strength training or conditioning the inner mind. Now this has become very integral part of inner mind training and expected part of training by the athletes. It is very important and very it is really true that all sports normally all sports are 90% mental and 10% training physical. That's what is an introduction about the mental training, importance of mental training in our sports. Thank you very much. Importance of mental training is really it means that reprogramming of neurons of brain. It is very scientific nowadays. Many countries have started using this neural reprogramming. It can be done very easily, consistently if we do some exercises for improving sports mental health. There are many aspects of training. I will be discussing today three main exercises. One is imaginary exercise, that is mental training with scientific way visualization. Imagine or visualize using the visual, seeing what you are seeing in the competition, you have to visualize. You have to hear what you are supposed to hear in your competition or last week competition. And then finally, the feeling sense. The reprogramming of neurons of brain, it really means that activating the visual sense, sound sense, and feeling sense. All these three senses are very important. Actually, subconscious mind does not understand the difference between imaginary or reality. It cannot distinguish. Subconscious mind cannot distinguish. It knows the language of repetition, repetition, repetition. If you repeat the things, subconscious mind will take it as a reality and it will become a happening in your life. As we are breathing, we are driving cars, we are driving cycles, It is happening. We do not have to do much struggle for driving a car or breathing. Imaginary exercise is one thing, then second will be how to get into the zone, scientific approach, and then mental gym is very important. This is the part of neurons reprogramming is a imaginary or a mental gym, that is subconscious mind gym it is called. We'll discuss about that.
Our brains cannot tell the difference between an actual physical event and the vivid visualization of that same event. A reason for this is that when we experience something and when we visualize the same thing, we activate similar brain circuits. Because of this, visualizing desirable outcomes helps boost confidence, motivate ourselves, improve focus, practice movement sequences, increase strength, decrease reaction times, rewire our brains, and make epigenetic changes in our bodies. These things, along with your training, all complement and reinforce each other to improve performance and help you achieve your goals. For example, Conor McGregor uses visualization to boost confidence and prepare for competition. To give you an idea of how serious Conor is about training his mental game, here's what his coach John Kavanagh has said about it.
Visualization techniques that Conor was doing before I'd heard of anyone else doing them, like he could tell me when he was going to fight. He knew exactly what was going to happen long before it happened because he had done it 1,000 times in his head. He had warmed up in backstage. He had heard the crowd. He had smelt the arena. He had seen the audience. He would really immerse himself in the fight night. So by the time fight night came along, where a lot of people they'd maybe been training in kind of a quiet gym for 8 or 12 weeks, and then they walk out to 15,000 people and they get shocked. He used to walk in going, yeah, this is my 1,000th time doing this.
Like John Kavanagh said, Conor's vivid visualizations can help explain why he is so relaxed and confident when he makes the walk to the octagon. It's a similar story with Michael Phelps. In his book, he writes that he would visualize to prepare for competition and to motivate himself, sometimes for up to 2 hours in one sitting.
My dreams and visualizing kind of really played a role in to making me motivated and helping me achieve the goals that I had.
Alex Honnold, an athlete who climbs some of the world's most challenging mountains without a rope, does the same thing as Phelps. As he writes in his book, sitting and thinking, hour after hour, visualizing every single move, everything that could possibly happen. That's what it takes to wrap your mind around a challenge such as the one I was about to attempt. I had deliberately visualized everything that might happen on the climb, including breaking a hold or just losing it and falling off. In a real sense, I performed the hard work of that free solo during the days leading up to it. Once I was on the climb, it was just a matter of executing. In terms of increasing focus and decreasing reaction times, a study of 200 martial artists found that visualization and self-talk reduced reaction times from 0.737 seconds to 0.659 seconds, roughly 10%. Although this may not seem like much, this is often the difference between winning or losing. An explanation for why this happens is rooted in a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system acts as a filter. Out of all the information coming to our senses from the environment, it selects what will be noticed and given attention to by the conscious mind. By practicing visualization, you can prime your reticular activating system to help you notice and focus on important information during your competitions. For example, in UFC 194, Conor knocked out the 10-year undefeated featherweight champion in 13 seconds. Conor had been visualizing the sequence months before the fight and had even told the world what he planned to do.
I plan to set him up, trap him, lead him into dead space, lead him where he feels he is safe, but all of a sudden it's a trap and he is in big danger.
During his warm-up, he was also practicing that exact sequence. When the fight started, Conor's mind was focused and primed to recognize his opponent's sequence, which allowed Conor to instantly react with the counterpunch. In terms of practicing movement sequences, a Harvard study found that research subjects who mentally practiced a simple 5-finger piano exercise for 2 hours a day for 5 days made the same brain changes as the subjects who physically practiced the same activities, but without ever lifting a finger. Remarkably, visualization can also increase strength. In a similar experiment, 10 volunteers each imagined flexing one of their biceps as hard as they could 5 times a week. In a few weeks, they increased their bicep muscle strength by 13.5%, and they maintained that gain for 3 months after the training had stopped. And finally, consistent practice of visualization can be used to rewire our brain and to make epigenetic changes in our bodies. This is the part of visualization that I find the most fascinating. I'll be making another video in the future summarizing the book You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza to explain the science of how this all works. The key takeaways from this video is that there are countless benefits to visualizing, and you would be at a disadvantage if you did not make use of them. In a future video, I'll be explaining the specifics of how to visualize like an elite level athlete. Subscribe to the channel to be notified when that video comes out and to receive the best mental strategies for elite performance. Thanks for watching.
Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that.
I'm Brett Wingeier. I'm a neuroscientist, biomedical engineer, and athlete. First of all, let's talk about being in the zone, what some people call a flow state. Basically, you're in this state of perfect focus where you're not even consciously thinking about things or processing moment by moment. It's a state of relaxed, high performance. That's the zone. Fact is, anybody can be in the zone. It's not just sports. It's anything where you're able to just do it and block out distractions. Repetition is the language of the brain, and it's the way you get better at anything. Here's one study. The National Institute of Health put freestyle rappers in an MRI machine. While they were freestyling, there was less cognitive control because it didn't need to happen. They were in flow, they were in the zone, they were practicing their craft. When you're first learning something, everything lights up here in the frontal lobes. As you become an expert, then that activity actually goes down. All of that gets moved into the subconscious. So the biggest misconception about getting in the zone is that it's this magic thing that only happens a couple times in a lifetime. That's not the case. You can prepare for it. Be well rested, smart, hard practice. Ignore distractions. Part of that could be meditation. Interestingly, caffeine actually does improve performance. You have to find that happy medium. A little's good, a lot's too much. True or false? Sports performance is all about genetics and how big your muscles are. Absolutely false. It's about how well does your brain control them. All those movements that make you an elite basketball player, it's all part of muscle memory. One of the best is this guy, TJ Carey. He's a cornerback for the Oakland Raiders. We worked with TJ with our product Halo Sport. It's a pair of headphones. It helps speed up firing neurons in the primary motor cortex, which means the brain can take in more information really quickly. And he added 9 inches to his vertical leap. 42-inch vertical leap. That's amazing, that's insane. His brain was optimizing the firing of every little part of that muscle and everything that goes into that. Strength is specific. Let's say you're training on a biceps machine. Then what you're really getting best at is just doing that exact thing, is doing that biceps curl. Because it's not just about how big your muscle is. It's about how your brain has learned to use it in exactly that context. And that's why the best physical training is the training that best approximates exactly what you're doing on game day. The thing is, this is relevant to all of us because we all have a brain, we all have a body, we all want to reach our potential. Everybody can have this sensation of, wow, I nailed that.
In pro sports, the player with the advantage is the player who wins. One advantage is brain exercise, a trending technology that offers players a discipline that goes beyond the purely physical.
It's like putting your brain on turbo.
Soccer is a game of speed.
IntelliGym for football, hockey, and basketball was developed by former Israeli fighter pilots who recognized that their combat training could benefit athletes.
From a decision-making perspective, there is a lot in common between fighter pilots and competitive athletes. There is your team and the other team, and you need to constantly evaluate what's going on, make decisions, and execute those decisions, and keep changing those decisions based on what's going on around you.
It looks like gaming, but it's not. This is a subconscious gym for the brain that improves a player's anticipation skills, ability to recognize empty spaces and threats, and speed up execution. In before and after studies of the training program, on-field performance improved by between 20 and 40% in players who brain trained for half an hour twice a week for several months. The program has the biggest impact on 12 to 22-year-olds. With the aim of becoming the football superpower by 2050, China incorporated
China is
IntelliGym into
preparing
the country's
the
youth
football
football academies
tournament
this month.
2050
Intelligence is
from
what
now.
separates the best.
It is
Developers
2021
predict
now.
that in the future,
Just imagine
brain training will be
the
an
importance
integral
of mental
component
training the
of
other
any
countries are
professional
giving in
athlete's routine.
sports.
Stephanie Fried, CGTN, Tel Aviv.
Now that's all about my presentation. The main key takeaways is the importance given to the neural reprogramming for mental training, perfect imaginary exercises, and how to get into the zone and mental gym. Mental gym, there are many mental gyms, types of mental gyms are there. In due course, I will exercise them in my videos or in presentations. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
U18 national team.
In pro sports,
Our brain